So I was the guy that had naked people in my speaker video. So I'm all for the sex appeal part. Yeah, I don't know if they're going to show that. It wasn't me, by the way. No, but for us, it's actually really simple. You know, immediately before I started Method, I actually worked as a climate scientist, and I worked at a place called the Carnegie Institution. And one of my frustrations there, other than being not nearly as smart as the people I was working with, was that you know, I was talking primarily to a scientific audience, and as a green consumer at the time, every product I bought asked me to make a sacrifice. And you know, sex appeal alone, you could argue, is just sort of a shallow kind of thing, or broaden sex appeal to just sizzle, you know, or aesthetic. And but taken together with a responsible company and work and ethic, sustainable design principles, what it does is it actually broadens your audience much more massively than it would be otherwise. And I think that sometimes it's easy to lose sight of it's easy to lose sight of like what's really happening. I saw a stat recently that 43% of consumers think that the greenness of their home care products is a critically important primary purchase driver. That sounds nice. Mm-hmm. Green cleaners are currently about 1% of the market. So something's getting lost there between what people are saying and saying I want and I think, and then what actually happens when you go to the grocery store and you buy a product in our category. And I think that, you know, for us, it's you know, what the sex appeal does is it opens up our audience to a whole bunch of people who aren't necessarily like the people that are in this room, that are deeply and passionately committed to doing the things that we all do. And that's critical. I mean, I've often been asked by the press and stuff, you know, I hear people buy Method because they really like the bottle shape. Doesn't that bother you? Mm-hmm. And I said, no, that's exactly the point. Yeah. It's exactly the point. And so, you know, call it sex appeal, call it sizzle, call it what you will. It's different for every product, it's different for every brand, but it's got to be something. And it's got to be something more than just, you know, that core, deep sort of way that we work that we're all passionate about.
Yeah, I would also add, I mean, again, for us, it's like, don't take yourself so seriously. You know, I think I've seen it in the space, people take it so seriously, and I love that MacGyver, you know, what would MacGyver do? Like, that's just great.
I'm going to follow up on something you brought up, Malika, and that's the whole idea of collaboration, and especially in this time, kind of the time we're in, collaboration being kind of inherently green and innovative, but can you give some examples of how collaboration, so you just gave one of how collaboration has been helping your brands, and also is that easier in this community? I think we all have this idea that, you know, we're all pretty zen and we'll take care of each other, but is that really the case?
You know, I'll start again because they have different businesses and different approaches, which I already know about. You know, since we're a media company, when you have a website, a lot of it is traffic and impressions. And historically, people, you know, you need so many people to come to your domain name. Things have changed so dramatically with Facebook and Twitter and just kind of this whole distributed model. Anybody who knows, you know, how ad networks and things like that work in this space. So we really took the approach from the beginning that we really were fortunate to have great relationships with people and companies, and that if we could bring everyone together, we would have a stronger voice in the overall market. And you know, we've been lucky that I think, you know, there are hiccups here and there, but I think the vision is there, and we're kind of ironing out details as we go along. But that for us has really worked, but I think again, media, you know, that is changing so fast that keeps changing, even in our world. Once Twitter became more popular than Facebook, you know, you have to change really quickly. So.
Yeah, and I think on the collaborating with others in your space topic, my experience has been easier said than done, and I know that Wolf, you feel the same way about this. Is we've tried and failed miserably sometimes trying to collaborate with, you know, bulk purchasing buys with other companies and things like that. And we've also had some successes. And I think that, in my mind, it's really about having somebody who kind of owns. You need an intermediary. We've done it on raw materials, for example, where we get these great raw materials that we can, trace all the way back to a socially responsible farming practice and things like that. And at the end of the day, if there's a scarcity of those materials, who gets the material? And you kind of need an arbiter. There's sort of business issues that end up kind of getting in the way. We once tried to do a take-back program for packaging with the U.S. Postal Service. That failed miserably, and we ended up now working through municipal recycling centers. And the details I'll spare you, but at the end of the day, you needed to have sort of an independent party that was kind of responsible for helping facilitate the collaboration, so that it could work, and so that there's sort of shared accountability there. If that makes sense. And Wolf, I know you've got some thoughts on that too.
I totally agree with you. This partnerships, the collaborations are not that easy. You have to have good commitments. You have to have rules, and it's sometimes hard. But it works or works not. We have another idea. So Hess Natur is committed to change something in the world. We would to have like more people dressed organically. We would like to increase organic cotton percentage worldwide. And who of you has an organic tea? Organic T-shirt. Is it truly organic, or only the farming was done organically? Do you know if all processes in the textile chain are done organically? So the bleaching, the dyeing, the sewing, and the cutting at the end. Do you know that? No. At Hess Natur, we have a really experience of 33 years, so we have optimized the whole process all along this textile chain, beginning in the farming ground, bleaching, dyeing, cutting and sewing. And we thought, okay, what can we do to spread our message to make the world a little bit better? There are many, in Germany, many t-shirt labels who say, okay, I have the coolest t-shirt and it's organic, but it's not really organic. So we offered them sourcing. So we offered them the possibility to give their design to us, and we take care for doing the t-shirt. So it's their label on it and our knowledge in it. And I think this for us, for me, is a really new, good way to collaborate, to make something which has really sense. And I like this very much, and the people which I'm connected with in Germany are very happy that we open up our USP a little bit, but we don't give away our USP.
No, and you said one thing earlier that I thought was interesting in these collaborations amongst people, these collective buying type of partnerships, that you need to have like a primary or a lead partner and then sort of a following partner. I think that's right as well.
So we are the lead partner, we are following partners.
Yeah, for sure in that one.
It works good though.
Yeah. No, I think that's important though, because it only works that way.
We also talked a little bit about collaboration with charitable groups and nonprofits and that type of thing. And one of the things that again I thought was that Adam brought up was a really great point was this whole what did you call it?
Steal and donate.
Steal and donate. The steal and donate model is dead, and that really, it's no longer, hey, we're killing a bunch of trees, so we're going to give the money to, the rainforest or whatever. But, changing that and really, having it be a completely different. We are collaborating with these charitable organizations, and I thought that was a really key point, and I'm hoping each of you could address that. Maybe you could start since you have.
Yeah, I guess I'll start with an explanation. What I mean by that is the model where you have a for-profit business and you take its profits or a portion of them and then give them to nonprofits, I sort of reject the core assumption of that behavior. The core assumption of that is that what I do to make my profits is bad, and so I need to give it to these good people to sort of make up for it. And I just think that's bullshit. And I started my business trying to basically make it so that what we do is actually good in the process, not bad in the process. And so, what we do in our own partnerships with nonprofit groups is actually very local. We work with some in San Francisco that do art to kind of help people get out of the ghetto, and some stuff with homelessness, which is a big issue in San Francisco. Save the Bay and some things like that. And we do that, you know, because that's kind of what we want to do, and it's kind of part of who we are, but it's not a brand partnership. It's not a brand association. We want our brand itself to represent a mode of production and materials in the products that we provide to you that get that job done in a quality way, but get it done in a way that doesn't have these sort of inherent bad things associated with it that, you know, have been kind of pounded into our heads by, you know, we were talking in the lunch session about some of the captains of industry, the robber barons and such, where, you know, that's still kind of fresh in our mind. The, you know, the Carnegies, the Rockefellers, the guys that built all the railroads and then gave the money away. We're kind of challenging that assumption, I think, these businesses and many of the businesses in the room.